In this video we're going to be looking at the charge speed of cavalry units and how that affects the feasibility of skirmish units. Now I'm running Tuskmod, and what Tuskmod does, you've heard me talk quite a bit, made by Walrus Jones by the way. I'll provide a link in the description, and one of the things that makes heavier cavalry units rule the battlefields of Attila is that their charge speed is identical to the lightest units in the game. So very light units, even though they have 100 speed, which is much faster than the heavy, the speed of the heavy and the very heavy units, when the heavy units reach charge speed, they will be able to catch up to the Hunnic mounted bows, and there's nothing the Hunnic mounted bows can do about that. And that makes skirmishing with cavalry very hard, and it also makes it very hard to get away with light cavalry units. Also, there's such a thing as charge distance. So if you give an attack order, the cavalry unit starts its charge at a certain distance from the enemy unit. Now what Walrus has done here is both reduce the charge speed and the charge distance the heavier unit gets, and the opposite is true for the lighter units. Now what that does is it all of a sudden it makes skirmish cavalry, fast cavalry, a viable option to deal with heavy cavalry, because the heavy cavalry is going to have a super hard time catching these Hunnic mounted bows, and they're going to be trying to run. They're going to try to run after here. But even when using the built-in skirmish mode, I am entirely capable of keeping my distance and firing at the Magister Militum. The Magister Militum has a hard-on for my general. Now he turns around and tries to get at my Hunnic mounted bows. The AI doesn't quite know what to do in this situation, it seems, but still, you can see that the skirmish AI actually starts working when you have the reduction in charge speed. So even though this Magister Militum hits charge speed, the Hunnic mounted bows are able to speed away because the charge speed is now slower. And I don't know about you, but this is a situation that I would really like to see on the battlefields of Attila. So heavy cavalry running after horse archers in a futile attempt to catch them, not being able to catch them, and getting worn down after a significant amount of time. It's taken these Hunnic mounted bows a significant amount of their ammunition to kill the Magister Militum. But this is what should happen when you try to catch a unit of basically guys just wearing regular clothes, riding very fast light horses, when you're charging after them with big heavy horses being ridden by big heavy men. That is not how heavy cavalry should be used, both in terms of game balance and historically. This is mainly about game balance. But as a side note, historically, one of the reasons that made the Huns such effective fighters was just the fact that they were able to keep a rotation of mounts, use deception, make the enemy chase them, wear them down over time. You didn't really hear about the Huns winning the day by mounting up on their ponies and leading an epic cavalry charge into European, and the same for the Mongols. They didn't take the much heavier European cavalry head on. Would be suicidal. Instead they employed tactics like, well, it's not really what I'm displaying here, but similar tactics where they are using feints and deception, wearing down the enemy morale, and basically making themselves unable to get caught and held in pitched battles. So they did fight pitched battles as well with infantry. It's just not their preferred style of warfare. So in terms of game balance, what Walrus has done here is monumental. I cannot overstate the importance this would lend to the multiplayer balance in Attila. All of a sudden, cheaper, lighter cavalry units become viable. Heavier cavalry units need support, so you would actually need to support your cavalry with something like skirmishers to keep away these annoying horse archers or other horse skirmishers, and giving cavalry different charge speeds as well as run speeds and different charge distances it's mind-boggling that the Creative Assembly hasn't done this themselves. And this sort of ties in with the weapon length video I made earlier today. This is also going to be CA please, and luckily Walrus has done it, so we could just see how big of a difference it makes when you're able to kite with a unit that is faster and almost entirely impervious to the pursuit of a heavier cavalry unit, as indeed it should be. So very nicely done there by Walrus. Something like this for infantry would also be pretty decent, I think, and make the lighter units more viable, more interesting, to have a real mobility advantage. Because when people say the Huns have a mobility advantage in Attila, they do not know what they are talking about. The difference in speed of 20 running speed is entirely negated by just hitting, getting it within charge distance and then hitting charge speed. So with something like this, Hunt skirmish cap tactics would be much more viable, and I think we would see having slower heavy cavalry would mean that we wouldn't see the kind of ridiculous rush gameplay that we see now. Also, having a greater fatigue gain for the heavier units would be very nice to see as well. So they would still be able to smash infantry, they would still be able to smash light cavalry, but you would require really careful positioning in order to be able to do so. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that with decreased charge speed, that also decreases the mass, or I should say the impact of the cavalry unit, because the impact damage is calculated by mass times speed. So if the charge speed is lower, the impact damage is also necessarily lower, which is a very, very nice dynamic for heavy cavalry. So thanks to Walrus for making this mod. I really recommend installing it. I'll get the link in the description. Installing it and trying it to just see how much more interesting cavalry gameplay is when there is a distinct difference, because that's one of the things that really sucks about Attila. In terms of weapons and in terms of cavalry, there really is no diversity. It's just bring the heaviest you can. You won't get penalized for it. The lighter units are there like annoying flies around a bull that just gets swatted away by the tail. In this case, the tail is the heavy cavalry. So CA, please incorporate these changes into the vanilla game. It would make it a lot more fun and the battles a lot more diverse. Strength and honor.